I'm Eleanor Chalstrom. I'm one of the managing editors at The Daily. As you might have seen last week, we are introducing a new podcast to The Daily called Just Ask Eleanor, where we give you advice on whatever you really need advice on, whether that's relationships, school, navigating campus. I'll give some advice, I'll talk to some experts and some friends who know all about what you need. This week's subject is roommates. So let's get into it. We have a good batch of roommate horror stories this week. And let me just preface it by saying I am an expert advice giver here at The Daily. Everyone comes to me for these kinds of things, but nothing I say is necessarily legally correct or ethically sound. But let's get into it. So our first prompt today, my roommate constantly burns incense in our dorm. She for sure is a wannabe hippie. How do I tell her the smell grosses me out without hurting her feelings? I have two kind of different roads of advice I can give here. The first being, it is a dorm and that is a really small space to be burning incense in. Maybe you guys could go shopping for a different kind of thing you like. I know candles aren't allowed in the dorms. Maybe you could go find an essential oil diffuser. If she's a hippie, she'll love that. Go to TJ Maxx, take the ride, make a day out of it. Or if you don't think she'll be receptive towards that, just lie and say you're allergic. Okay, here's our next prompt. I understand when your roommate's significant other is over, you sleep somewhere else for the night. But my roommate has his girlfriend over like 4 times a week. It's getting ridiculous. I cannot stand sleeping on the gross couch and larch anymore. What should I do? Okay, first off, I empathize. I heard that the larch couches from an insider are very gross and stinky. So we're sending our love out to you from the Iowa State Daily. Second, 4 nights a week is a little insane. And I'm of the thought process that 1 night a week, whatever, on the weekend, whatever, it's okay. As long as you communicate about it in advance, it's understandable. But 4 nights a week, she should be paying rent. So approaching that topic with your roommates is definitely going to be tricky. But you've just got to be like, hey man, we're both paying for this room. We both live here. Like my bed is in here. She can't be over here 4 times a week or something's going to change. So, and if it doesn't get fixed before Christmas break, I would file to live in a different room because you should not be sleeping on your large common room couch. That's bad for you. That's bad for everybody. And yeah, having a conversation needs to happen. And like I said, if it doesn't change, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself and go somewhere else. Okay, here's our next one. This is juicy. My roommate is an incel. He watches Andrew Tate, the Fresh and Fit podcast, and other hyper-toxic masculinity videos that talk about how women should do this and that. How do I address him that it makes me feel uncomfortable? I think first, if he's playing it in your dorm or in your apartment aloud, first off, that's just annoying. I don't want to hear anyone's podcast aloud. I listen to podcasts all day, and my roommates know that, but they don't know what I'm listening to because I always have my headphones in. But anyway, I think if he's playing it aloud in your guys' dorm, apartment, all those things, and it's making you uncomfortable, you can just have like the headphone talk. Be like, hey man, it's bothering me when I'm trying to do schoolwork, cook, study, yada, yada, yada. If he's projecting his beliefs on you, then you have to have a tougher conversation that revolves around, hey, I don't really believe in your beliefs, and that's okay as long as you're not being like violent or hurtful towards people directly. I guess that's fine. But I won't yuck your yum. Please don't yuck my yum. But let's just keep our identities separate. It can get really difficult when you live so closely with someone that you don't agree with in some of those matters, and it can be really stressful. So if he's pushing these things onto you, I would really recommend either having another conversation of, hey, this isn't cool. Could we just keep this apart in our relationship? Or if it gets really bad, maybe you need to consider finding a different roommate, or I don't know, talking to someone you really trust about how to move forward with it. That's all I got. Okay, here's our last one. What is the best way to tell a roommate you don't want to live with them again? Okay, this is capital D difficult, and it's a really awkward conversation, especially if you want to keep living with different roommates that you guys share in the same house. That can be hard. And if you live in the same apartment and say one of you guys wants to renew a lease and you kind of want to kick someone else, there's so many moving parts about this. But I think the most important thing is be honest. You do not want to lie in this situation. You do not want to say, oh, like, blah, blah, blah. No, be honest. Say, it's because we like to keep the house at a different temperature. It's because you're a night owl and I'm an early bird. It's because you never clean up your dishes, because those things are really frustrating. And when you have different ways of coexisting, that just breeds so much bad energy. And the last place you want to not be at is your home. You want to come home. You want to feel like, okay, done with the day, I'm at home. So I think the first thing you need to do, sit down with your roommate, have okay, I want to re-sign my lease, or I want to move out of this place conversation, and say, I don't really think we clicked as roommates, and then cite the reasons why in a really kind manner. You don't need to make them feel bad, but they need to know that information, because this person's going to live with another person eventually. If they have the privilege of living alone the rest of their lives, like, good for them. But they're going to live with someone else, and you need to tell them, like, hey, it's kind of gross that you leave your mac and cheese pot out for 3 weeks, or let your dog lick your toes in our living room. Like, it's hard, and they need to know what they're doing wrong. And then also, maybe in an ideal world, it'll share like a communal grievance sharing moment where they tell you what you've done wrong. I know I've been a bad roommate in the past. My roommates told me once that I walk too loud in the morning. I am a stomper, which is so true. And then they told me that, and I told them what I thought they were doing wrong. And we've lived together for 3 years. We've never moved apartments. They're my best friends. And if you're able to share those things, people become better people, and they become better roommates. So, end of my advice is be honest, have the conversation sooner or later, and make sure you tell them that it's just you aren't good roommates. Don't bring in their personality. Don't bring in any other discontent you have with them. Just tell them what they're doing differently as a roommate than you'd like them to be doing. I hope that makes sense. Okay, that was our first batch of submissions, and we'd like to hear more from you guys. So be sure to either email us at justaskeleanor@iowastatedaily.com or send us a DM on any of our Iowa State Daily socials. Everything remains anonymous. None of your names will be on here, and I promise I won't even stalk you on Instagram. I promise. Our next topic for our next episode is going to be all things food, whether that's battles with food insecurity, struggles with finding healthy meals on campus, wanting to know the best spots to go out to eat in Ames, or grocery shopping on a budget. Send us your questions or your stories, and we will hear from you soon.